Good afternoon. Today we will be doing 1.1.4 from IB Computer Science, that is planning and system installation. The lesson objective is to compare the implementation of systems using a client's hardware with hosting systems remotely. Before that, we have a recap. So I will ask people in the class for these definitions. Nicholas, what is compatibility?
Is when two different systems are able to work efficiently and transfer data between them.
Okay. Omar, what is cloud?
Place where you store data
Okay.
online.
Gemma, what is service?
I don't
Does anyone in the room know service?
Yeah.
Selena?
know.
A service is something that's provided to a user.
Okay. And what about stakeholder? Ruben, what's a stakeholder?
Stakeholder is someone who is affected positively or negatively by something from
The actions of the
from the actions of
organization.
the organization.
Exactly. Okay. Now what we're going to do is we're going to look at different software strategies. First, we have in increasing order of control from the software producer. We have on-premises, then we have IaaS, which is infrastructure as a service. Then we have PaaS, which is platform as a service. And finally, we have software as a service, SaaS. We'll only be looking at the first one and the last one today. So we start with on-premises systems. So OP systems are completely managed by the administrator or the client. And with on-premises systems, it's the systems administrator that oversees all the applications that are used. They're also responsible for managing all the data that comes and goes. They're also in charge of all the software and the user interface that's used. And so that's why they're able to implement their own runtime or operating service of their choice. And so they're also responsible for the storage and the servers and network systems in the organization. Using an on-premises system has its own advantages and disadvantages. One advantage is that all data is stored locally. This means that there's less chance of data breach or infringement of privacy, or an infringement of intellectual property. But that also comes with disadvantages because it means that there's a lack of resources and skills of an external party that's managing the system. And so greater times and resources need to be employed for this. Also means that there's greater capital investment required. However, with an on-premises system, there's no subscription fee or hassle. There's a permanent system that's put in place, which can be accessed without the internet. But it also means that there's a potential risk of data loss, potential damage that can lead to on-site servers or storage without external backing, losing all of their data permanently. On the other hand, there's also full control over hardware and servers. They can adapt to handle all the needs of the organization, and they can upgrade systems at their own convenience. But that said, there's also difficulty in scaling up, and it needs to be done without any help. And so a lot of manpower and again, a lot of resources are needed. On the other hand, we have SaaS, which is System as a Service. And that is completely managed by the corporation that owns and licenses the software to other organizations. They're in charge of all aspects of the system, ranging from application to runtime to operating software, to also network and servers and data storage. Data storage is also done by the cloud here. And so it cannot alter the functioning of the system. Organizations can only lease and use pre-installed features. Upgrades are always done by the organization in charge of the program. Again, this comes with its own advantages and disadvantages. For example, there are also lower upfront costs because there's a subscription-based system. And this is more cost-effective because there's less fees for hardware and maintenance because it's not the responsibility of the organization using it. It's also quick system setup. It's already ready to go whenever they purchase it. It's already installed and set up. Also easy upgrades. For example, administrators are responsible only for updates and hardware, so there's less workload, and it can be accessed via the internet everywhere. However, with that, there's a few disadvantages. For example, there's a security or data infringement concern. There's a lack of control of data and exposure to other parties, and it leaves it vulnerable to large-scale breaches. And this happens increasingly often. There's also limited control or ability. Organizations that use system as a service software are not able to attain full productivity out of the system because not all features are available to them. There's also connectivity and performance issues because the system is inaccessible without internet connections, and internet issues can reduce productiveness and system speed. Any questions? No? Thank you very much.